But your so curious costumes.
Don't be put off by them, ma'am. Under this garb, we're perfectly ordinary Americans.
Well said, Robin.
The costumes were perfect. They looked like they were right out of the cartoons.
That's right.
When those costumes came on, something came to life and made kids like me want to be a superhero.
They were just like straight off the comic book page, no apologies, and that's something that you have to appreciate.
Clearly, Adam West and Burt Ward had an on-screen chemistry. I mean, they obviously liked each other, and they were in this together.
Even as Bruce Wayne and Burt Ward, they had some kind of chemistry. They always would give each other knowing looks, and they'd both be on the same page, run to the fire pole. On the screen, you really believe they were Batman and Robin. They were buddies. They were in this fight together.
Come on, Robin, to the Batcave.
At the time, I thought that the Bruce and Dick relationship actually played really well. I mean, they were sort of partners in crime or partners in straightness in a strange way.
Adam West and Burt Ward had, I think, the perfect take for the roles, for the tone they were going for. This campy, over-the-top, good guy. Adam West obviously presents himself as a little bit reminiscent of William Shatner, actually. They both kind of underplay everything, but overplay it at the same time. Their voices are a little quiet, yet they over-enunciate everything.
No one can make a seagoing vessel simply disappear, provided it was ever really there at all.
Adam was not the first choice for Batman. Because up to that point, Adam had only done a couple of feature films, small parts in Robinson Crusoe on Mars, Mara of the Wilderness, some TV show guest appearances here, like Outer Limits and things like that. But they brought him in, they tested him, and they wanted him.
It's an amazing thing to think about how this could have gone otherwise, that you could have had a very handsome guy in the part, in the costume, that would have played, again, the character straight, but there's something very magical about what Adam does that I attribute much to do with the quality of his voice and the way that he would deliver lines.
Adam, I don't think, was ever truly appreciated for that fine line. The actor that just, you know, if I go too far to the right, it's gonna be so bad. Too left, not enough. It's a balancing act. And if you're not square on, it just doesn't work. And he did it.
He's way too into this thing, these mysteries and solving these clues, this sort of slow delivery of lines.
What kind of creature would gobble up a bird in a tree?
As Adam is interpreting Batman's thought process, you get a hint of maybe this sort of measured madness that must inhabit Batman, to be that guy that puts on that costume.
Adam West did the smart thing. He realized that Batman was a kook, looked really crazy, particularly in that eye-abusing pop art style, and just played it utterly straight. He plays it like Jack Webb in Dragnet.
I think it was his absolute deadpan approach to it, taking it absolutely seriously, that caught on with the American public. If you went back to the comic books that were made, say, pre-1964, that was the dialogue in the comic books. It was like Adam West was just reading absolutely straightforward the dialogue from the comic books.
Surrender, you criminals!
Oh, what's this?
Adam, for the part of Batman, for what they wanted in the 1960s, worked. He realized he had to let the villains be the funny ones and play off of him.
I think Adam West's strongest point was that he never once succumbed to the temptation to play at arch, to chew the scenery, or to make fun of the role. He also had that unquestionable friendly uncle vibe to him no matter what. There was nothing really malevolent about him.
A lot of Adam West is on the screen in both Batman and Bruce Wayne.
I'm most grateful I wasn't aware of that.
Oh, duh.
It looks bad, Batman. This brassy bird has us buffaloed. They could pierce the secret of our true identities.
Robin's background was that he was a circus acrobat who was adopted by Batman. So you need a character who can bounce and do the handsprings and whip around acrobatically. And they were very smart to cast. That was part of the casting process, is looking for not only an actor, but also a boy acrobat. And that's how he got the role, because he had the physicality that a lot of the other candidates didn't have. And smart casting on their part, because I believed that he was physically capable of this stuff.
He had to do most of his own stunts because with his little mask on, you couldn't hide the stuntman so much as you could do without his mask with the regular stuntman. It was his first acting job, so he had no real experience. But they picked him. They thought he was young enough. He was in his 20s. He was able to play like 16, like Robin was supposed to be like 16.
Luckily, we're in tip-top condition.
He was adorable as Robin, I thought. And Ernest, you know, just, he did a wonderful job for never really having had any acting experiences.
It's probably the best choice that you could have ever made to have gotten an actor of Bert's caliber to really portray the kind of intensity that he needs to hold to be with Adam West and to play that certain kind of second fiddle to Adam, because he can't be as intense or more intense than Adam. But he's got the enthusiasm that Robin is supposed to burst out with, that Batman has to kind of calm him down and say, like, whoa, 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 you're the hyper one. I'm the well-reasoned one. I'm the one who's got to think this thing slowly.
Burt Ward's performance is also, it must have been almost impossible to sustain that level of astonished enthusiasm. I understand he got beaten around rather a lot doing that, and you can see it because he is the one who takes the knocks. Being a straight man for a straight man is a very, very difficult task.
Everything could have fallen apart if there wasn't a certain magic between those two men. And we'll never know, of course, what would have happened instead of this. It's all in the magic of the mixture, and if these guys hadn't been who they were and performed the way that they did, this whole thing would have fallen apart.
Great Scott, Batman, take off his mask.
The woman must be mad.
Batman and Robin were lucky they were surrounded by such solid support, weren't they? Commissioner Gordon, Chief O'Hara, and Alfred the Butler, all these characters were played by actors who were not necessarily well-known faces, but were good veteran movie actors.
I say this with all respect. Alan Napier is one of my favorite character actors of all time, but clearly he came over on the Mayflower. Stafford Rep, not a young man. Neil Hamilton, everybody's grandfather. But when you put Batman and Robin in a room with those guys, they look young and vital and vibrant.
Our instructions were to keep watch.
Most importantly for Batman and Robin, of course, was the support they got from their butler, Alfred. Nothing ruffled Alfred. He was always ready to help out at a moment's notice. Even if his own life was in danger, he remained his call throughout and was always there to help out where necessary.
Good old Alan Napier. What a wonderful man he was. He was as nice a guy as the character he's playing. In fact, he told me, he said he had never even heard of Batman when he did the series. He got a call one day from his agent, and his agent said to him, he said that, I have an offer here for you for a TV show. You may be Batman's butler. He goes, what? What's Batman? Because you don't read the comic books? No, never. I never read comic books. But he fit in perfectly with it because he was, in Dozier's opinion, the epitome of the typical British servant that you would see in the movies as playing the butler.
Holy demolition! That's my dustpan.
There's things like when Alfred's driving the car and he's got a little teeny black mask on, sort of like Robin has, which really goes kind of to the comic book. He's out now. He wants to be in disguise, too, so you won't recognize him as well, which is kind of silly, but, I mean, that's the way it was done in the comic, too. If he had to go out somewhere, and especially if he was with Robin, he can't be identified as Alfred. Gee, somebody would suddenly find what Wayne Manor was.
Penguin, Joker, Riddler, and Catwoman, too. The sum of the angles of that rectangle is too monstrous to contemplate.
Commissioner Gordon, I wonder what would happen with Gotham without Batman and Robin, because he was always picking that red phone up, turning on the bat signal.
Neil Hamilton as Commissioner Gordon is one of my favorite TV characters of all time, because like Adam West, he plays it completely straight, and he has probably the most absurd lines and declarations in this entire show, maybe in all of 60s television.
Oh, thought strikes me. So dreadful, I scarcely dare give it utterance.
Neil Hamilton was actually a big star in the late silent era and the early talkie era. He made many, many films as a leading man, a romantic leading man, and his star kind of fell. And really, for him, Batman was sort of a revival of his career.
Holy nightmare! Batman, could it be? I don't know.
The TV Gordon is really not the comics Gordon. The TV Gordon is all business, a very hard-line authoritarian figure, and acts very much in the show almost like Batman's boss. Although that wasn't at all their relationship in the comics. He was a little more hapless in the comics, actually. You kind of get the sense in the comics that if Batman weren't around to solve Gordon's problems, the whole city would be in flames all the time.
The version of Commissioner Gordon from the comics of the 40s, 50s, and early 60s was a guy who did his job at the office. He was the authority figure. He was not a guy who's getting involved in these shoot-em-ups.
Chief O'Hara. Yes. Dash to the roof. Flash the bat signal.
Yes, sir. What does a turkey do when he flies upside down?
He gobbles up.
Of course.
I'll never understand the relationship between Gordon and O'Hara. First of all, we never saw O'Hara do anything but stand around Commissioner Gordon's office, fretting with him and giving him somebody to talk to, and being hesitant to pick up the bat phone. But Commissioner Gordon would say, there's only one man we can call, and we need to call him now. I question the wisdom of the hiring practices of the Gotham City Police Force. That said, he was a loyal cop. He was always there.
Chief O'Hara, you always remember just because he always reacts so over the top.
Chief O'Hara was definitely the comic relief, and he worked so well with Commissioner Gordon. I mean, he was his right arm. Commissioner Gordon had to have him with him all the time. If he couldn't think of something, O'Hara would come up with it, usually by accident, but he'd come up with it anyway.
All adds up to a sinister riddle. Riddler?
You've got to represent the police force, and that's why they created this one cop who's hanging out with the commissioner all the time, strangely enough. He's the cop stand-in to say, how does the police force feel about these two guys in costumes? And to see that there is a relationship there that's very symbiotic and very cooperative, and there's not this enmity or hatred from the establishment towards Batman and Robin.
For Batman to do what he has to do, the police basically know that he's like their best ally. They sort of like, you go, Batman, you do your thing. And they're all part of the mission, the crime-fighting mission in one way or the other. They're all connected.
All I knew was that, here were guys trying to do good things, and it's a real simple message, which is, do good things. Fight the good fight.
Support your police. That's our message.